If I could ask everyone to please be seated. At this time, we're going to begin the funeral service here today for Mrs. Rita Faye Rosenthal. As we begin the service, I would ask if any of you might have a cell phone or any other noise-making device, please turn them off at this time. Officiating the service here today is Rabbi Deborah Newman-Kamen. Thank you, Rabbi.
At this time of loss, we turn to our tradition and we read from the book of Psalms, Psalm 23. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai ro'i lo eksar, benot desha yarbitzeni al mei menuchot yanachaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni b'maglet tzedek l'man shemo. Gam ki alach b'geit salmavet lo irara ki ata imadi. Shivtecha u'mishantecha chema yanachamuni. Ta'aroch lifnei shulchan neged srarai. Teshanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya. Aktov v'chesed yardafuni kol yemei chayai. V'shafti b'veit Adonai l'orech yamim.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
We now turn to the book of Proverbs, which describes what we call a woman of valor, or in this case, the translation says, a good wife. A good wife who can find, for her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and nothing shall he lack. She renders him good and not evil all the days of her life. She opens her hands to the needy, extends her hands to the poor. She is robed in strength and dignity, and cheerfully faces whatever may come. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She tends to the affairs of her household and eats not the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband too, and he praises her. Many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised. Place before her the fruit of her hands. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise. In loving tribute to Rita Faye Rosenthal, we have several family members that are going to deliver her eulogy, remembering all the wonderful parts of her personality, of her love, of her kindness, of all of the wonderful qualities that she had, and we'll hear about it from those that were the closest to her and loved her the most.
Okay, good afternoon. A little over 30 years ago, I had a chance to have my first solo lunch with Rita, or Mom. I can remember the day very well. I called her on the phone and I said, "Hi, Mrs. Rosenthal, it's Tom, Lori's boyfriend," who she obviously knew at that point. "Can I ask you for lunch?" Obviously, she said yes. We met over at a small restaurant in Skokie, all without Lori knowing, which isn't an easy task. And boy, was I nervous. As we sat down, I ordered a salad. Why I ordered a salad and why I remember, I don't know. But then I popped the question. I said, "I'd like to ask Lori to marry me, and I hope you approve." my question prompted many tears, many, many tears. And, you know, she gained some composure, as I will right now as well. And the first thing she asked me, she said, "Can I give you my ring?" She was very concerned that Lori wouldn't have a diamond ring. I told her, "Don't worry, I do have that covered." She didn't want me to go in debt, nor did she want Lori not to have something nice. One of the things I realized at that time was just how nice Rita was. She always wanted to help, and she lived a life of giving. But I also realized that day what made her happy, and that those tears were tears of joy and happiness. It's also important for me to point out today something that is very meaningful. She showed me how people, just like she and Mort, from different backgrounds, different religions, different cultures, could get along. It was important because both Lori and I come from slightly different backgrounds, and that showed what brought true happiness to a family. Just 2 weeks back, maybe it's 3 now, I went to Morton Grove and I picked up my father. He asked how Rita was doing. I said, "She's doing okay. She's weak, but she seems happy. She does seem happy." My dad, who's a man of a lot of wisdom and knowledge, quickly brought to me a study that Harvard has been doing. And he said, "This study has been going on for 80 plus years. It's one of the few studies that continues to go on and on and on." And he said it's one of the longest running studies. And he said, basically, they found there's 4 important tenets to happiness. And he called it the 4 F's. The first one is faith. Not only religious, but really a deep faith in people, faith in life, faith in goodness. Knowing that kindness is often better than evil, and that seeing the overall good in people was important. Rita was really gifted in this area. I don't think I ever heard her say anything mean about anyone. As a matter of fact, I once remember her telling Lori, "Kill him with kindness. Don't be mean, kill him with kindness." The second F is family. And I think this is the most important one, especially looking at everybody here today. And I think when I talk about family, Rita had a huge family. She was born into a family of 10 siblings, unheard of today. This family some of them have passed, but a lot of that generation has continued to live on. And I think one of the important things is that we recognize the family continues to grow. When Rita met Mort, the family automatically doubled in size. And then over the years, our family has grown organically through her children and through her grandchildren. The third is friends. And I can't say that I knew all of Rita's friends, but she had a lot of friends that moved in and out of her life, and she had the ability to make friends easily and quickly. Her southern charm and her demeanor were really special. And like I said before, she never really judged people. I never saw that once. And the last F is fitness. And although she had a lot of good years of health and fitness, at the end, fitness is what did her in. But let's be honest, fitness is going to deal us all in. Rita was a happy person, and she lived and had all 4 of these F's: family, faith, friends, and fitness. Now I want to make a couple comments. I need to take a moment and recognize 2 heroes. Those heroes are my sister-in-law, Lisa and my wife Lori. Your mom was without doubt kept alive because of all of the hard work, heroic efforts, and the love you two showed. I witnessed that every single day, and many here have witnessed that over the years. 7 years ago, when Rita was diagnosed with renal failure, it came down hard. It was almost thought of as a death sentence, but at that time, it was not. It was a life-changing event, but not life-ending. And I'll use a chance here. I like to sometimes tell about one of my favorite movies, Shawshank Redemption. And both of my boys will know I talk to them frequently about this. And in that movie, the actor Morgan Freeman, he says, you either get busy living or you get busy dying. And on that date, when she was diagnosed, she decided to get busy living. And that's what she did. Over the last years of her life, we all benefited from attending weddings to many holiday dinners, enjoying her delicious prepared meals, whether it was brisket, chicken soup, beef stew, and her specialty of mandel bread. We will all miss those treats. I also have to take a special note of the past years with Granny and her drug deals. They always tried to hide this from me, but frequently the boys would come home from college. They would make a stopover at our home, or they'd stop over at her home, and I would witness the passing of the white envelope. And that envelope always had a wad of cash. I have no idea how much cash was in there, but there was always a wad of cash. I do think her greatest happiness was being able to see her two grandsons to grow from babies to children and finally into young men because of your effort, Lisa and Lori. We had the chance, or she had the chance, to see them at their pinnacle, which was attending their college graduations in person, on campus, and finally to see them progress in their careers. Rita spent a life of really trying to help others, and I think we can all see and feel that. She was a wonderful and loving person. May you rest in peace, Rita Faye Pearson Rosenthal. Your job is done. Benjamin Nicholas.
Granny, you would always introduce me to your friends and family members that I had not seen in many years, but now it's my turn to introduce you to the wonderful woman that you were. I really want to go through a lot of my favorite memories that I have with you over the years. I will never forget, first off, all those times when Mom and Dad would tell Nikki and I that we're going to Granny's house. It was a rush of euphorium every time I would hear those words. It was like going to a new house, a new home, and it was an escape for myself especially. Once we would arrive at your house, you would greet us with a smile that would light up the world. You would stare through that front door window, and I knew that, hey, the fun is about to begin. Once inside the home, we would watch the Chicago Cubs, Chicago Bears, Alabama football, and we will never forget the amount of times you would exclaim, yes, every time they would score. That yell could be heard all throughout the neighborhood. It was wonderful to see your enthusiasm for the sports games. And also it was awesome to be in your backyard, and Nikki and I would always play baseball in your backyard, and you always would tell us, don't hit into Mr. O'Toole's yard. and we would not listen, but we would, but we appreciated all that you taught us in terms of rules at your house. And if not playing sports at your house, we would always go to Cubs games, and although you wouldn't exclaim as loudly, because they would lose when we'd go, but it was still awesome to just be with you and spend time with you and Shisha when we were growing up. I will then never forget, that you then returned the favor. And every Thursday and Friday from my second grade year up until my high school years, you were at our house. And I always looked forward to Thursday and Friday, just because I knew that I was coming home to such a loving woman. It was always fun to come home to the house with you there. You'd ask me what I had learned in school. You would ask me what new friends I'd made, and you would ask me if I was happy in general. And no matter what my answer was, you told me in life, it's all about just being happy. I'll then never forget later on as I grew older and started going into high school and college, you would always show up to my sporting competitions and you would always yell out, "I'm here," just so that I knew that you were there. And I always took note. I knew you were always there for me. And no matter how Nikki or I ever did, you were always there to greet us with open arms and give us with a warm embrace. I'll then never forget as I graduated my high school and college years and went away for several years when you would call and how I could hear your voice light up whenever I would start talking. It was so wonderful to hear you ask how my day was going, how my month was going, how everything in school was going in general. And no matter what response I gave, once again, you just said, it's all about just being happy in the end. And then my most fond memory, most recent, I'll never forget this last Monday, when even in your ailing health, we were able to watch one final Bears game together. And even in your ailing health, you still had your quick wit and your charm. We were still able to joke around as if everything was normal. The bottom line is, no matter how much things changed, no matter how much Nikki or I changed as we got older, you remain the same wonderful, loving woman, caring, supportive, and that's what I want everyone here to remember about you. I want everyone to remember you as a kind, loving woman who came from Alabama to move up here and raised Nikki and I for so many years. I will miss you very much, Granny. I will cherish the memories that we had forever, and I will miss you very much.
I'll try and keep it together. Events like these always happen before you're ready for them. On October 27th, which was last Thursday, to be blunt, I was sad, angry, and a little lost. As I watched my granny take her last breaths, it dawned on me that I would no longer be able to pick up the phone on a random Thursday and tell her about my day. I would no longer be sent home with 5 containers wrapped in tinfoil labeled with spaghetti sauce or turkey chili. And worst of all, I would no longer be able to tell you how much I loved you. In the waning days, I found myself repeatedly looking at one picture of the two of us. It was from Jared and Hannah's wedding. Granny spent most of the night sitting in her chair, observing. But finally, as the night was coming to a close, Granny turned to me and asked me to get her out on the dance floor. I grabbed her hand and held her close as we danced to the last song of the night, Don't Stop Believin'. And this could not be more telling of my relationship with Granny, as she truly made me never stop believing. And I will always remember that of her, and I'm glad that I had that last dance with her. On that note of Don't Stop Believing, I never really understood how proud Granny was of me. And today when I came in here and opened the pamphlet, I saw that donations were going to St. Baldrick's. And I spent many years working with them with pediatric cancer, and to see that she wanted to dedicate the memorial funds to that and really let me know. Granny was like a second mother to me and my brother. She taught me how to live my life with passion, how to love and treat everyone with respect. And every now and again, she would teach me right from wrong. Despite me thinking that I had Granny wrapped around my little finger when I was younger, she wasn't afraid to show me that she was the boss. Granny used to watch me and my brother on Thursdays and Fridays, and one day I was being a little bit extra pushy with Granny. Granny wasn't having it, and as she should, she told me to knock it off. Well, I wasn't having it either with Granny, so I looked her straight in the eye, pointed my finger at her, and I said, "Granny, you're fired." Granny wasn't going to have any of that. Faster than I could pat myself on the back for my witty comeback, Granny ripped my pants down and spanked me right on the behind. Needless to say, Granny was not fired and was still very much the boss. And let me tell you, I am damn happy that she still was the boss. Many of my other vivid memories with Granny are her being at every sporting event, whether it was on the baseball diamond, the basketball court, or freezing in the sleeting rain in a cross-country or track race. She was always there. You could hear her scream of "Go Nicky Poo" through everything else, and it always made me go 110%. I will miss that scream in the future when I compete at future races, and it will feel like a piece of me is missing. Nothing will ever replace the bond that I had with Granny. Everyone here and afar knows that she wouldn't miss an event for anything. She was always there for me through the happy and the sad, when I needed a cheerleader or a shoulder, and when I needed advice or just someone to listen. She was always there. And I'm going to miss her not being there for me in the future. A last moment I want to share something that is unique to mine and Granny's relationship, and as my dad pointed out earlier, Granny was always a giver, and this never fell short when it came to money. When I was in college and even a little after college, Granny was always concerned that I wasn't having fun because I didn't have enough spending money. So every time I would see her, which was quite frequent, she would sneakily walk over to me and smack a wad of cash in my hand. Well, today, before everyone came in, I was able to see Granny for one last time. And I was lucky enough to save one $20 bill from that wad of cash. And I ripped it in half so she could always have half of it, and I could keep the other half. That way she's always connected, and I'll take this with me to every big event, every major life milestone. That way she'll always be watching with me. Granny, rest peacefully, watch over all of us, and we will make sure your legacy is never forgotten. I will love you forever and always. Rest easy.
Our mom was the most incredible role model. She came to Chicago from a small town in Alabama at a very young age to find a job to help support her family. Family always came first. She made everyone she met feel special and like a part of our family. She taught us to embrace other cultures, religions, and backgrounds, and to always leave things better than the way we found them. We could talk to her about anything. She never judged. She calmed our fears and made everything better with a pot of chicken soup, a batch of mandel bread, or a skillet of cornbread, which of course she made gluten-free. It's hard to pick a favorite memory because every memory we had with Mom is our favorite. She made good days fabulous and bad days just non-existent. She fixed everything. She had a special way of touching everyone she met and made them always feel loved and special. Ben and Nikki were the light of her life. She didn't miss one milestone The boys always looked forward to sleepovers at Granny's, but were even more excited when she slept over at our house every Wednesday through Friday. Mom also became the neighborhood granny, embracing all of their friends with her love. She was always the first person they wanted to share great news with. She was their loudest cheerleader, never missing a game or a race. She loved taking road trips to see the boys at school, thinking that we didn't see her slip them the mad money that we're all talking about. She diverted our attention because we were putting away all of the care packages that she prepared for them. The love she gave for them is just immeasurable. They adored and loved her equally right back. While the last 7 years were not easy for Mom, she never complained or wanted any of us to worry about her. But it was our turn and our honor to care and nurture her the way that she had done for us. We made a promise to always care for each other, and we always did, and we always will. The last month really proved how strong Mom really was. Even on her worst days, she was concerned with how everybody else was feeling and doing. Mom raised us to be strong and to treat people with respect. She trusted us to care for her and to make the right decisions and advocate for her. Mom was the best everything. Best wife, mom, granny, sister, aunt, mother-in-law, cousin, and friend. We will always love and miss her, and we just hope that we made her proud.
She was also the redheaded lady at Wolfie's. And I think you left really just one last thing for me to say in her memory, which I was told to say, Roll Tide. I ask you now to please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, Bialma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach leolam omel maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata damiran bialma v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated.
This concludes the service here in our chapel. The interment will take place immediately at the family's plots at West Lawn Cemetery, 7801 West Montrose in Norwich. Following the interment today, the family will be sitting Shiva at the Mohrdieck residence, 1266 Maidstone Drive in Vernon Hills. They'll be greeting people upon return from the cemetery until 8 p.m. today, and Tuesday from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. That information's on the inside portion of the funeral service folder you should have received. If you did not receive one, they are available as you depart. I'd also ask you to please take note on the same service folder. The family has asked that memorial contributions in Mrs. Rosenthal's name be made to St. Baldrick's Foundation. That information is provided. For those of you watching online, that information is on the website you are currently on. For those of you going in procession with the family, procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please make sure you get an orange funeral safety sticker that should be placed in the front passenger side of your windshield. We would also ask that you please have your bright headlights and flashing hazard lights on at all times. For an additional measure of safety, our staff will be placing magnetic flags on the tops of the vehicles throughout the procession. As we drive in procession today, please drive as close as safety permits to the vehicle in front of you at all times. We want to avoid having any large spaces or large gaps in the procession, particularly as we pass through the intersections. We will have a car in the front and a car in the back to keep everyone together, so we'll go as safely as possible. The following individuals have been selected to act as pallbearers: Ben Mohrdieck, Nick Mohrdieck, Tom Mohrdieck, Andy Wilkinson, Mark Drake, Jacob Cohen, and Joey Cohen. At this time, I would ask everyone to please rise as the deceased and her family and rabbi are escorted from the chapel, and I would ask the pallbearers to please step forward. Ask everyone to please go directly to your cars. The family will not be greeting at the funeral home any longer today. Thank you.